Hello again, and with a brighter lighting, I'm looking at the second set of Tobot minis, the new Tobot minis that actually might be better than the main lead minis. Yeah, the Tobot S.O.S. Mini S.O.S. Rescue Mini. And I insisted on getting the all-in-one package that's quite hard to find at retail price, even online. It's not like totally sold out or anything, just I guess it's limited runs, rather than the individual packs. This is slightly less box space. It's still pretty very spacey box for display, but yeah, so this is the, pretty much flatline style with the CG photo in there. So just to show how it compares. S.O.S. right here. Blue and green divisions, and then all the contents in here, including 3 mini display stands. This is a 5-stage combination if you count the drone feet as extra members, or just extra parts. 2023 of September, they have the product numbers for each of the separate bots. And then opening this up. Yeah, it looks like these are just the blister packs as sold in the single releases, just repacked in this bigger box. And then, yeah, the display stands are kind of randomly thrown around there. You see, like, 3 separate instruction sheets. Yeah, that was sideways, so yeah, this is the general size of the individual boxes. Yeah, imagine just stacking them like that if you're a box collector. Comparing it with the big send, I mean, for one, the ugly connector peg's still there, but there's all the other legs for some reason. He is still much of a proportional squishy. It's mostly in the legs. The legs are a bit shorter because I guess these are just single fold and not the double fold of the bigger one. And then maybe the head proportions are a little weird. Yeah, I guess the head's a little lower. It has a shorter neck. Bigger torso. Also, the shoulders look bigger on this tiny little body. But otherwise, it doesn't look so much squishy compared to the mini Tobots. Your mini Doc is looking a little squished, although it looks like his shoulder straps are actually the correct color. No white torso, and I guess, yeah, still a bit of the proportional squishiness, maybe a slightly bigger head compared to the body, or just slightly squished torso, and also shorter legs because it's not double kneed. And yeah, and also makes him look like he has wider shoulders. Much wider shoulders. The backpack is just all hollow. You had no space for extra hollowing, and did they really mirror the tools on his shoulders? Question mark? That's an interesting mistake they made. Of course, the highlight improvement is Mini Boom here because he has movable legs. Movable legs. So you can see what the inside of his legs would look like in the show, I presume. Yeah, although the feet are kind of losing out here because they're just very flat toes, just for the transformation. Also, there's a big pin in there, while the white feet were picked out on here. And yet, no space for the tiny little details here and such, and the molding is there, but it's just not painted, except like half of it was silver paint. And also like silver plastic instead of white. And his head is a permanently deployed visor, which is not quite a bad look for him actually, for the mini thing. Otherwise, the head, you can kind of make out the head easier here on this mini one. Also, yeah, that ladder, those cannons don't slide up all the way unlike the big one. This is all a black panel with some red painted in as opposed to the 2 halves here. Boom still has his axe. That is not 5mm or 3mm. For articulation, Sen has the same ball socket legs, but unfortunately he loses out on the shoulders. Yeah, just simplified. Doc's pretty much the same, like ball socket outspread. No shoulders, which was on the big toy anyways, so also these backwards elbows. Yeah, so only legs and outward shoulders, really. But articulation is the exact same, except with the additional legs that only go out that much, and then forward and backward that much, not much in the back. Almost 90 knees, no thighs. That doesn't exactly count as a toe tilt. And then manual pin hinges, so they're not floppy shoulders, and then like lower arm in like this. Small OS and S.O.S comparison. Yeah, for one, the chest plate here is basically just a different paint layout. It's not the most accurate paint layout. They just kind of slathered the entire front section here. They did it. This red paint could have went over to the black here, you know? At least the yellow is accurate. And then it looks like the arms are actually a bit longer. That comes to over the knees rather than these arms which come at the knees. I guess that's because these mini components are slightly bigger. And then the feet. Yeah, he's just kind of standing on trailer bots, which only extend that much forward from the feet, but they really do extend out from the mini version here, I guess, just to make clearance for those support booms and the permanently deployed combiner motors. Yeah, so he just kind of has extra extended boots. But it still matches the same flat back as the rest of the trailer, so I think the trailers might have been shortened here. Or extended. I don't know how that proportion worked on the trailer and the foot comparison. Send car transformation, 1, 2, 30. 3-step changer, basically. Dock goes through like 1, 2, 3... 4 clunky steps, but otherwise very simple. Then transformation should be very similar, just all manual. But this is now parts forming, and that just kind of slides in the grooves here. You got a pretty quick fire truck. The proportions of the trailer are kind of tinier here. They're actually a bit shorter in width. And that's, yeah, they don't extend all the way to provide room for these extra, like, side protective wheel guards. So that's what those were, I guess. Yeah, so that kind of throws off the scale a bit, I guess, in the combined mode. Just a bit. Otherwise, it's just a shield transport and the arbor transport that's in reverse direction for the Mini. Proportionately, these look just about the same, actually, just straight down scaling. Because they were already kind of just squished chibi-fied enough. Actually, no, they weren't really squished, there's just the bigger back tires. Yeah, so that's nice to see, as with Tobot Dock. Although, yeah, I guess maybe there's obvious tiny little fist holes hidden there, which might have extended the hood just a tiny bit, or just slightly decrease the slope of the windscreen, can't tell. Or just make the forearm just shorter, yeah. The only proportional change is that the arms were just shortened to have visible hands. Because they didn't want to invest in flip-out hands on this tiny scale. It is missing out on the headlight details though, that's just hinges. The wheelbase might have kind of squished a bit, just a smidge bit compared to the bigger fire truck. Yeah, as you can see, this cabin section that kind of goes, really sinks into the hydraulics, while this one is, yeah, much more a gap there. I guess that's not too important to the casual eye, but also the fire ladder is a little bit weird, I guess, because it has this much extra extended. While this was a flat cutoff, I guess it's compensating for that already filled back here compared to this one. And of course, the fire ladders are all the way up to the front because they only go this far. They don't slide all the way to the back, which this actually might look a little more natural. Oh, there's a tab here, so I guess that actually clips to the side, which does look a bit more natural, actually. The natural weapon storage is just plonking it right on top. The front can really only afford to paint the blue sirens and the windscreen, but the rest of it is just unpainted. I don't know, on one hand, having only this as the grille might look a little better than the painted extended sides here that just doesn't flow with the sculpt here as well. And of course, it's missing the black bumper and the silver headlights. there's a tiny little molded Tobot symbol in there. 119, 119 painted on this side, 1119 not painted on this side, both of them. So these minis are much minier than the mini or smart Tobots, and a bit bigger than the standard model cars, or cores. So they do scale with the core Laserbeak Bumblebee mold, which is about 148. So is this cheaper set actually better than the full set just because it has extra leg articulation and no springs? Well, I don't know. I think there are just some pros and cons to the functions. Well, maybe that's a bit more easily detachable parts, so that's a bit annoying to deal with. Seriously, one single clip on this? And of course, there's the simplifications, which might be fine. It might be fine to have it to handle this on a smaller scale, this little toy here, but you're losing out on TankerBots, which might not be too much of a big deal. But still, I guess these individual arms, they're basically about the same function as the bigger toys, but still, maybe they're a little lacking or something. The articulation, even with the legs, is still pretty much the same. And also, this helmet is really annoying to get on perfectly straight. Yeah, I mean, you're not getting much improved arm articulation, and this even might be a bit more fiddlier, because it's ball sockets and shallow pegs. Which on one hand does give it a little more awkward articulation, just additional ball socket articulation, but that does make it a little bit less stable. Yeah, with these extra legs, it may not be the best at dynamic posing. Well, it has pretty big platform shoes, so it could actually balance like this. Yeah, but any more dynamic poses, like any slant poses, might be a little awkward. But yeah, I guess that's par for the course for this thing. So I guess if you really like that design, but not the big brick of a toy, then yeah, this is the only option to go. But maybe this mini size might not be doing it for you, because maybe it's a little too mini. Yeah, so you either have the big, slightly more in scale toys. I mean, both of the scales of those toys are a bit unconventional. They don't exactly match with the more conventional car robot transformer scales. Price point is subjective, as these individual minis cost a bit more than these standard Tobot V minis. You're basically getting a core class with an extra single plastic chunk. And then Mini Boom is basically like a simple deluxe, but simpler than a deluxe. Otherwise, it might be a low priority. And I think this is gonna reach international soon enough, but not at the same time as the other Tobots, the other mini Tobots, the main Tobots, and the rescue Tobots. I haven't seen the mini version of these yet, so these might come later internationally. But we do have another companion piece for Mini S.O.S. coming soon.